Who are the most broken AD carries in 11-17? What's up, GameLeap? Oh, the Jizz back at it. And in today's timestamp video, can we get a like for the stamps to continue? We will be revealing the 10 most broken AD carries of the 11-17 rip. Now, there haven't been many changes to the bot lane, but the most broken marksman this patch is certainly a new one. And he wasn't even played that much as an AD carry before the changes this patch. So to find out who this is, make sure to stick around for the whole video. And without any more climaxing, let's get into it. Now, coming in at number 10 is Kog'maw. And this patch is going to be a little harder for Kog'maw because of the Wit's End nerf coming in. Now, the on-hit you're getting from Wit's End, which works so well with Kog'maw because of his Bio-Arcane Barrage, because this is now scaling in a non-linear fashion, this means that if you do get it as your first item, which is the main trend for Kog'Maw, it's going to be less useful. But what is interesting for Kog'Maw mains at the moment is that they're running Lethal Tempo instead of Hail of Blades, and the main reason for this is that though you're not getting the same amount of attack speed in the laning phase, what you are getting is a lower cooldown on Tempo, which means you can trade a lot more, and if you time this with your W's cooldown, this can be super effective. So most likely what is going to happen in 11-17 for Kog'Maw in the builds department is maybe a shield bow rush. You can still rush Wit's End, it's just going to be less impactful, and then you can follow this up with a Runaan's Hurricane, a Ginsu's Rageblade, Random Atonement, whatever you need for the enemy team composition. But yes, your first major item, it might change now to shield bow instead of just Wit's End. Now, a similar type of champion is coming in at number 9, and this is another hyper carry, and this is Vayne. So in 11-17, you have the same problem as Kog'Maw, the Wit's End nerf. So if you do rush this item, which you still might want to do into champions like Ziggs, for example, or a double AP bot lane, this just means your damage output is decreasing as soon as you get Wit's End. That spike isn't going to be as offensively powerful. But even with this nerf, if you still go Mortal Shield Bow, Vayne is actually having a really good time of it in all elos at the moment, just because Shield Bow is giving you the survivability you need, and because you have so much innate damage anyway, it's not like you're losing much at all. And you might even say this patch Vayne is going to be even better because Hullbreaker is giving those bruisers in the top lane more HP, and because you deal so much damage to tank your enemies, Vayne's value goes up. A W max is still going to be the best ability to max first, and you never know, Kraken Slayer might become more valuable because of that Wit's End nerf, but the risk there, of course, is that you don't have that magic resist and therefore tankiness, so you're probably going to die a little bit more. But Vayne in 11-17, regardless of the Wit's End nerf, is a super good pick still. Now, just beating Vayne to the number 8 spot is Draven, this Hail of Blades early game aggressor in the bot lane, so if you want to win lane by level 1, level 2, Draven's your pick. And Draven is another one of those AD carries who works so well with Mortal Shield Bow, but another item that is cracked on Draven is the Collector, and as your second item with the lethality, you can legit one-shot enemy squishies, especially if you're fed. After that, you can go over Infinity Edge, which gives you that 60% critical strike chance that procs is passive. So in terms of early game AD carries, Draven might well be the best, and he is going to be once again a very good pick in this patch. Now, just ahead of Draven coming in at number 7, if you want to play a bit more of a safe AD carry who's going to get you through the laning phase with a bit more regularity and become that late game beast, then Ezreal is still going to be a very solid, consistent pick. Now, you might say, but Divine Sunder is giving you 5 less AD. This is true, so you're going to be dealing less damage, but here's the thing, the Spellblade passive in Divine Sunder, where you're dealing damage based on the target's maximum HP, this is staying there, and that is the item's true power. So Ezreal, as a result, okay, you might feel a little bit of the 5 AD nerf, but really, who cares? And with your Insane Conqueror stacking with your passive as well, once you get this stacked up, it is not only very hard to actually out-duel an Ezreal, but also hard to get near it. He can just Q-poke you down, and before you even go in the fight, you're half HP, or worse. He also works well with pretty much any support, so if you want to blind pick an AD carry, Ezreal is definitely one, if not the best pick. But let's say you really want to win lane. You know, the enemy team might have actually picked an Ezreal, and you're like, nah, I'm not having that. I want to dumpster this guy in lane. Well, picking Tristana and Champ Select is a very good option here, because Tristana's early game and kill pressure throughout the game is insane. If your support lands one bit of CC, if the Ezreal oversteps, or if the enemy AD carry oversteps, in you go, Hail of Blades with your Q, the attack speed steroids you have, as I said, the kill pressure you have, it is nuts. Getting one kill as well can turn into 10 very, very quickly. It's just that Tristana can get a little bullied in the early game, and with spellcasting supports isn't exactly the best AD carry. There are better options out there, so if your support has picked Soraka, let's say, picking Tristana is kind of troll. But still, super solid pick, and one who can definitely dumpster those passive early game AD carries. Now, beating her to the number 5 spot, this is Ziggs, and I know this is an AD carry countdown, but I cannot not put this mage on this list. The fact is that Ziggs is still very, very oppressive despite all the recent nerfs, and he is going to be good for another patch. He's especially good as well into champions who don't have mobility, so if you think of Aphelios, if you think of Jhin, Ziggs can outrange these guys and poke them down non-stop, and because of his insane poke and wave clear, you should always be hitting level 2 first, and he becomes even more annoying for pretty much any AD carry to play against. With Leandra's Anguish staying as it is, with Sorcerer Shoes staying as they are, Ziggs is holding on to all of his power for this patch, which is a good thing if you play Ziggs, so he comes in at number 5. Now, beating Ziggs, if you want to counter pretty much every AD carry in the game and she's not banned, then pick Samira, coming in at number 4. And in terms of build, Samira is exactly like Draven. Shield Bow, the Collector, and then Infinity Edge gives you you an absurd amount of offensive power. And even though your level 1 and your level 2 really isn't that strong, your 3 basic abilities, your Q, E, and W, it's like a Tristana, it's just so scary to play against. One bit of CC lands, or if you misstep, Samira can pounce on you and ruin your day. And a bit like Tristana as well, one kill probably means GG in the first 2-3 minutes, because Samira is one of the hardest snowballing AD carries, and she's particularly good into those spellcasting AD carries. So those AD carries who rely on their abilities like Jhin, like Aphelios, like Ezreal, Samira can dumpster them. So if the enemy AD carry and champ select trolls by picking one of these, pick Samira. That's if she's not bad. Now coming in at number 3 was last patch's best AD carry, and this is Ashe. And because of the Wit's End nerf, Ashe unfortunately cannot come in at number 1. This is why she's number 3. The Wit's End nerf just means that power spike is going to be less powerful, but still your laning phase is going to be super good because of Hail of Blades and your passive slows. And because of that passive and the slows you're getting when you auto attack, this is a great cut to high mobile AD carries who you see most of the time. And because you're such a strong lane bully, it's actually very hard to come out of lane losing. So most of the time you're going to win lane, and once you get to that mid-late game, Ashe scales super well anyway, you should be able to carry. Also your ultimate, we all know about that, how good that is in teamfights and getting picks around the map. So Ashe comes in at number 3, but beating her to the number 2 spot might surprise some of you, but this is Jhin. And thanks to the buffs in 11-16, which increase your W's base damage, and also the first 3 shots of your ultimate's damage, with Dark Harvest and lethality, Jhin is going to pop off again, and this is why. What's also interesting this patch is that Ghostblade is getting buffed. Okay, so you're losing a little bit of AD, but get this, it's costing 100 less gold, and you're getting ability haste for it now. Remember, Jhin is one of those AD carries who needs his abilities in order to duel and carry a game. So because of that ability haste, you're getting more W's off, more grenades off in teamfights, and you're also going to get your ultimate more often so you can just spam it. Now this might not become the core build, but if you're into a very squishy team, going full lethality Jhin is definitely a good shout. And what's also good for Jhin this patch is the fleet footwork buff coming to ranged champions. So when you auto attack minions with your energized attack, you're going to be healing for less, but here's the thing, if you auto attack an enemy champion, which should be easy in the bot lane as Jhin, the base heal is up, and this is also scaling off your bonus AD. So in the laning phase, you're going to have more sustain, and you might want this against poke-based supports, but you can still run Dark Harvest as an option, especially if the enemy team is full of squishies who you are just going to chunk through. So Jhin will be a super interesting and strong pick this patch. Let me know in the comments what you think of him. Now the number 1 AD carry, this is going to surprise a lot of you because he got changed this patch, and this is Lucian. Now listen, you might be shaking your head thinking, how can Lucian be good after these changes? Well, all of this is down to his new Vigilance passive. So what happens is that whenever Lucian is healed or buffed by an ally, his next 2 basic attacks within 6 seconds are empowered, so you're dealing more damage. Now what this means, okay, let's say you E and you auto attack, and then you Q and you auto attack. Because you're getting 2 shots off, only your first shot counts as a basic attack. So what this means is that a simple EQ combo after an ally buffs you, 4 of your shots are going to be empowered by this buff, which is insane. Now your base AD is down, so in the early game without this buff, you're dealing less damage. But here's the thing, if a Nami W's you, if a Soraka heals you, if a Sona W's you, and Sona is very good at the moment and picked a lot, with spellcasting support you're a lot more effective, and this was really a weakness for Lucian because really you can only play him with hard engaged supports. But even with hard engaged supports, your W's mark, if your ally deals damage to that marked champion with your W, Vigilance also procs, so you get those 2 basic attacks empowered again. This means that even after using your Q, W, and E combination and auto attacking after them, you will still have 1 spare auto attack at the end, which is going to be empowered because of Vigilance. So this interaction alone is putting Lucian as the number 1 AD carry, and it's going to be very hard to play against, especially in the laning phase against him. And it is true that your ultimate's damage is getting nerfed, and it will probably only come good after like 4 or 5 items because now the number of shots is scaling off crit. So until you actually have a bunch of crit from like 3-4 major items, this is going to be worse. But again, that new Vigilance passive is going to be nuts, and it puts Lucian as the number 1 AD carry for 11-17. And if you have tried him out, let me know exactly what you think of these changes in the comments. But that's it for the top 10 AD carries, guys. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so already so you do not miss tomorrow's upload. And also make sure to check out the GameLeap website on your way out for all the challenger tier content you will ever need this season. The best champion guides and courses, the best role guides and courses, they are for sure going to help you out this season improve and climb, and that's what we're here for. So join thousands of your fellow summoners and get signed up. Links down below in the description or comment section. And until tomorrow's upload, this has been the Jhin.